Amen. Well, hello, ladies. Fun to be here with you tonight. I don't always get to because I help out with the youth and it happens at the same time. So I'm always feeling like my heart is like divided and I'm living in two places, but I'm really excited that I get to kind of just focus on you tonight. So, have you ever laughed when you weren't supposed to? All right, I got some stories for you. So, my cousin Laurie and I, when we were younger, we're sitting at a card table at my grandparents' house, and my pop was sitting with us, and he said something funny, and he made her. Do you remember strawberry milk? That was a thing when I was growing up. I don't even know if like you can sell it anymore. It probably has like some kind of crazy chemicals in it they don't allow anymore. But she was drinking her strawberry milk. He said something funny and it literally spewed from her nose and her mouth and completely covered him. Like I have a picture in my mind of my poppy just pink from head, like just dripping down his glasses, dripping down his I mean, oh man. And he laughed. He laughed with us, obviously. Same pop growing up. There was like this famous story. You guys all have them where like your aunts and uncles and your parents tell you these famous stories about what happened when we were kids. This famous one is also about my poppy. They were all sitting at the dinner table. My daughter Lucy was probably 9 or 10 or like same age as my mom at the time. And they were all trying not to giggle. It was like serious back then. You know, when you sit down to dinner, we're having a nice family dinner, you don't giggle, right? That's how it rolled back then. And he kept telling them, you have to eat your peas. You must eat your peas. And it got to the point where he kind of got really stern with them and he put his fist down and he had the spoon laid on the side of the plate. And when he hit the end of the spoon, it was like a catapult. And all of these peas that were sitting on his spoon flew up in the air and went down behind his glasses. And they all erupted. And it was just a very special memory. But he was serious. Eat your peas. So did you ever notice that it's easier to laugh when you're not supposed to? I don't know why. Like we've all experienced this, like the nervous like the nervous laughter, the nervous giggle. Because maybe it's because you don't know how to feel. So you're like, "Oh, okay, let me figure out my emotions on this situation right now." You just kind of giggle. How about the whole philosophy of the Freudian slip? You say the wrong thing and then you laugh at
And
yourself. This
then the
is my
following
friend.
week, last week, we were talking about Lot. And we were talking about Sodom and Gomorrah. And we were talking about how Lot chose to go pinch his tits. Excuse me. Pitch his tits. Pitch his tits is what I said. And you heard nothing else here. This is church, my gosh. So he was pitching his tents close to Sodom and Gomorrah. And so what happened was, when he did that, he was getting too close to evil. And what I was challenging you guys to not do was to pick friends that were going to lead you to... Man, stop laughing! All right? Man! Am I red right now? Holy
This
cow!
is like a 5,000 member church. He's talking to you right now.
Allie, I hope this isn't on videotape, because I have no job now. So, what I was saying is that sometimes God has to be full of justice.
Okay. So yeah, so that's my friend Blake. Now, for those of you in the season, you know, have you heard of MTV? That whole clip ended up on top 50 public speaking blunders on VH1. It has been shown way too many times. Blake never ever has lived that moment down. Ever, ever, ever. So fun. So we're going to get into Genesis 18 a little bit. And I have a really simple passage that I want to look at together tonight before we do our discussion. We get a glimpse of a woman, Sarah. She's 90 years old and has no children. One day her husband Abraham maybe you've heard of him, You heard of Abraham? He's sitting outside their tent in the hottest part of the day when these three visitors come to the tent. And Abraham shows them hospitality. Well, Sarah's in the kitchen. Yeah, that's me. Where a woman's supposed to be, right? Just kidding. Just kidding. Haha. She's making bread, or one translation literally said pancake. I was like, that's not a biblical word. What? And it was like, the footnote said maybe tortillas, something like a tortilla. Yogurt / cheese, milk. Maybe them have a conversation outside of the tent. And here's what we know about Sarah at this point. She's longed for a different story and a different season for a very long time. She's longed for a child. She's done everything in her human strength to contrive the answers to her own prayers, even change her own season to the point that she got her maidservant Hagar to lay with her husband Abraham so they could conceive a son, Ishmael. This is the woman that we're talking about. Why is she hiding in the tent rather than greeting the visitors? I've done that before. A couple weeks ago, actually. It was well into the afternoon, and I was clearly still in my pajamas and my slippers. And somebody knocked at my door. And I was like, not today. I thought I was going to be a salesperson or something like that. And I was just like, I don't have the grace for these people today. Nope. So this chair that I sit in, I was in my prayer chair and literally my door's right there. And I just froze and pretended like I wasn't there. I was like, if I don't move, because, we live in the historic district and everybody leaves their windows open. I'm like, if I don't move, they won't know I'm in here. It's like, no, not today, not today. But I did find out it was my neighbor, Carol, and she needed help with something technology. And I totally could have answered the door for her, but I didn't know because I thought she was a salesperson. But so then she's on the text, hey, can anybody help me? And I was like, oh, shoot, I totally just let her down. But we can speculate that Sarah could have been possibly living under shame and maybe even regret with everything that happened with Hagar. Perhaps she's bitter. She just doesn't like her season. She's like, I'm going to stay in the tent. Her husband has a son with another woman, after all. That's enough to be bitter. She's longed for a child. And here she is in the kitchen making bread for these yahoos out here at the tent, outside the tent. So it's safe to say she's not loving the season of life that she is in. And she's definitely not feeling social. Okay. So she's in the kitchen and she hears this conversation these men are having. And here is where we're going to draw our wisdom together tonight. Sarah laughed. That's the meat of what we're going to talk about tonight. So I'm going to read Genesis chapter 18. Where is Sarah, your wife? The visitors asked. She's inside the tent, Abraham replied. Then one of them said, I will return to you about this time next year, and your wife, Sarah, will have a son. Sarah was listening to this conversation from the tent. Abraham and Sarah were both very old by this time, and Sarah was long past the age of having children. Did I mention Sarah's 90? Her husband is 100. Okay. So the scripture says she laughed silently to herself. This is not an LOL. Nobody knows. She's laughing to herself. And she says, how could a worn out woman like me enjoy such pleasure? First of all, yes. Especially when my master, my husband, is also so old. She's like, Abraham, I don't know, buddy. I don't know if we can do this. So then we come to this part of the account. And this is where we get the idea that we think Sarah was not supposed to laugh. Genesis 18:13. Then the Lord said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh? Why did she say, can an old woman like me have a baby? Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return about this time next year, and Sarah will have a son. So then, here's the part. Sarah was afraid, so she denied it, saying, oh, I didn't laugh. But the Lord said, no, you did laugh. So I want to share with you a season of my life to date that is still the hardest season I have ever walked through personally. It was the final semester of my senior year of college. So I think I was like, 22, 23? And I still continue to look back on that season of my life and say, is there anything too hard for the Lord? Because that season showed me that there's not. There's nothing. So I'll start with the financial stress. So I put myself through college to this point. I worked 3 jobs. I only took out one small loan. I was like so determined, I'm going to do this. So I was just super, super, super busy all the time. Well, my school let me know that I had to go to the main campus, which I was in Maryland, and the main campus was in Lincoln, Illinois, in the middle of a freaking corn husker, like corn everywhere, flat, one stoplight. I was like, really? I have to go there and like actually like live there? They're like, you have to establish residency in order to complete your degree. Oh, great. So this is going to cost a lot of money because you got to pay for the on-campus thing and do that whole thing. So I didn't really have that. And I didn't have any connections, nobody to like help me get a hookup for a job there. So I'm like, what am I going to do? So when I was trying to figure out how I was going to move and finish my degree, I got an invitation from this sweet couple, Dick and Judy Price. Now, Judy Price was the very first person that I ever met when I came to the church where I was saved. Like, I was a hot mess when I showed up, and she was like the person who just was like, we're so glad you're here. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, they're glad I'm here? And so I just loved her. And we kind of like, kept tabs. Well, she says, hey, me and Dick want to have you over for dinner one night. So we're at dinner. They had a really, really horrible loss. They lost their daughter when she was a young adult to suicide. But they had taken that pain and they decided, we're going to bless others through this pain. So they were like, you kind of remind us of our daughter, and we want to pay for your college. We want to take care of all your expenses for college. And you can just focus on finishing your degree and you don't even have to work. And I was like, what? Mind blown. Wow, this is amazing. So I get to Illinois. I mean, is anything too hard for the Lord? Come on, you ladies know, like, are financial troubles hard for God? He always has an answer. Boom, there it was. Wow. So I settled into campus. Beginning of the semester, my registrar called and said, so I was already signed up for taking 21 credit hours. Okay. And they were like, oops, we made a mistake. You need 1 more credit hour in order to graduate. The maximum amount that any student is ever allowed to do is 21 credit hours. They said, you're going to have to wait. You're going to have to come back next semester and finish your degree. And I said, oh, no. No, this is what the Lord did. Like, he did this. He gave me the money for this one semester from these amazing people, and I'm going to graduate this year. So I pushed and pushed and pushed. Thank you, personality, that the Lord gave me. And I got a meeting with the president of the university, and I made my case, and I said, I would like to take the 22 credit hours. And I'd like to be the first student that you allow to take 22 credit hours in order to graduate. And he gave me favor, and he let me do it. And he told me I was very persistent. And I said, that's right. That's why I'm going to graduate. And I'm going to do really well. And I don't even have a job right now. I can do 22 credit hours. For those of you who have forgotten, like, the amount that they really recommend is 15. So I was already pushing it. Okay. So he gave me that courage. And there you go. Is anything too hard for the Lord? He gave me favor. Here we are. So we get further on into the semester. God had already made a way for me to not have a job. So there you go. Midway through the semester, my precious pop-up that I told you the 2 stories about in the beginning, he passed. And I was so torn up because I was so close with him. And here I am in Illinois. I'm not even right there where I could have gone last semester and just seen him in the last moments. And I was so torn up about it. I was like, I can't get there. My mom's got me on the phone. Here he goes. He's going. And it was just so horrible. Like, I'm all alone. I had my roommate, but I didn't have all these friends because I'm a senior starting out at this university. So it was just hard to not be there. My whole entire family was there. I was the only one that wasn't there. And I'm like a very we're going to do all this together person. And so that was really hard for me. But is anything too hard for the Lord? My sister who had just gotten married. They moved into their new house. She had a brand new phone number. No one had it. She gets a call the very next day after he passes. Is John E. Garris there? That's my grandfather's name. My sister's like, who's calling for him at my house? Well, we just wanted to let you know that the package arrived safe and sound. Now I know. Spiritual eyes looking back, that was an angel. Just saying, I could have all the peace in the world. My poppy left, and the package was delivered safely to heaven, and the Lord sent an angel to call my sister, and she, of course, immediately called me and said, Poppy made it. We got the call. They asked for John Garris, but, nobody has this number. It's the strangest thing. But I look back on that now, and I go, is anything too hard for the Lord? So my senior year continues. I was cranking out those A's, drinking that coffee. That was when I actually took on the caffeine addiction that semester. Haven't stopped since then. But my senior year continues, and it really was a rough go. Because of everything that was going on in our family, my mom didn't want to tell me that my sweet puppy of 18 years passed. So it's like boom, 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 all this stuff. So I got a card in the mail from the vet with a sweet little puppy, all cozy, in a chair in front of a fireplace. And the vet's like, sorry for your loss. And I'm like, I found out about my dog dying from a freaking Hallmark card, okay? Oh my gosh, if I can only handle all of the hard conversations of my life with a card, let's go, okay. My mom, she finally has lived that one down, but I'm like, you should have called me. She's like, you were already so sad about everything. You had too much, girl. I couldn't do it. But I look back on this now and I'm like, is anything too hard for the Lord? I went to a routine appointment with my GYN, still the senior year. I'd gone back home for a break, and it was like my annual or whatever. And I found out that I had an early stage of cervical cancer. So I had to go through surgery. They had to take a section of my cervix out. And my doctor told me what I now know was meant from the enemy as a curse. My doctor told me I would have a 40% chance of being able to have a baby. And if you do the math, that means 60% chance that I could not have a baby. I'm in college. I'm a young woman. I'm not really in that zone of like thinking about marriage yet, but man, it hit me, that's hard. But is anything too hard for the Lord? And you know that the Lord doesn't deal in percentages, does he? No, he doesn't. And I was glad that many years later, I met Jared when I was 27. Was I 29? I don't know. One of us was 27, one of us was 29. Memory, brain, okay. Anyway, I was glad many years later, I dated and married a man who had faith, and I was like, listen, before you ask me any questions, I need you to know something. Before you marry me, I'm just letting you know there's a possibility that I might not be able to have your baby. So if that's a big thing to you, I might not be your girl. And I'll never forget, he was like, if God wants you to be a mom, then you'll be a mom, and you'll be a wonderful mom. I kept on plowing just wow. And I asked my kids, now, is anything too hard for the Lord? I mean, they were slow to come onto the planet because of the scar tissue, but man, we did it. We got them here. Yes, nothing's too hard for the Lord. All right, so there's all mine. I wanted to get a little real with you tonight. But let's look at this moment again in Sarah's life. The scripture says, Sarah laughed to herself. That means nobody knew about it. It was private. The Lord knows her intimately, and he proves it to her. In this verse, when he says, why did you laugh? Oh, the Lord was there. Oh, the Lord knows. So she thinks she's in trouble. She has a little bit of that fear that comes up. But au contraire, mon frère, she is not in trouble. The Lord is just reminding her that he sees her and he knows her. And even when she laughed to herself and no one else heard, he was there with her. Okay, now we're going to read the text and the picture. I want you to get the picture of God smiling when he's saying these words, okay? He isn't angry with her for laughing. So God's smiling. Get that angry God in the sky thing out of your head now. Listen to it. But the Lord said, no, you did laugh. You did laugh. It's like a loving razz. Like a sweet father just reminding her, no, you did. I saw you laugh. I saw you. I see you, daughter Sarah. So God was just reminding her of his closeness and his awareness of her and not condemning her. We have totally got this one wrong. I have thought this for so long. I totally thought she was in trouble for laughing. I was like, but it didn't make sense in my spirit. But man, when I got down into it, we find this out later. You might be like, oh, you're just adding a little color into the story for us, Jocelyn, so it's happy. No. Genesis 21:6, Sarah says, hold on, let me see if I got it. God has brought me laughter, and everyone who hears about this will laugh with me. God is the one who put the laughter in her in that moment, in that season. Oh man, mind blown. Wow. So, I mean, have you guys thought that? Am I just saying that? Like, if you ever heard the story, did you think that she was in trouble for laughing? Okay. So I don't know who this guy is, but I love this. Laughter is God's hand on the shoulder of a troubled world. Who is Benson Huntsinger? I don't know, but he has a great quote about laughter. Laughter is God's hand on the shoulder of a troubled world. I love that. Come on, Sarah was supposed to laugh. She just found out that she's going to be breastfeeding at 90 years old. Let's talk about some tits, okay? Come on. They're going to be sagging down here. Whoa. Shoo. The seasons are hard sometimes. I don't know what season of life you're in right now. We got, probably 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. How far do we go up? Maybe some 80s? I don't know, but some of the seasons are hard and some of our circumstances are difficult. But the thing is that we laugh with Sarah because we remember that we have a kind God who sees us in every season, that knows us, and who happens to have a sense of humor. And it's never too late for God to change your season. We get all settled into it. We're like, we're good. And God's like, whoosh, one moment, change a season, comes out of nowhere. I think it's because he has a sense of humor, or he's ready to get you out of it or move you into something else. So maybe you don't like the season you're in right now. I'm personally in the aging season. Wait, I have a clip for that. Hold on. I'm giving you permission to laugh.
I had the shock of my life today. I was in the teacher's lounge talking to a group of girls in their 20s. Oh, they were so pretty. At that age, you don't even have to be pretty, and you're pretty. Anyway, we were laughing and giggling and having a great time, and I completely forgot that I was older. I just felt like one of the girls, and we had a wonderful time. And then I got into my car and caught a glimpse of myself, and I almost had a heart attack. This old woman was in the mirror. I didn't even recognize her.
Who was it?
Oh man, gotta love the Golden Girls. What is that? Okay. They were from the age range, some of them were in their 50s. I'm like, I'm not quite 50, but we don't look like that anymore. We're getting a lot more help these days. Oh my gosh. So I'm not really a fan of this season, but I affectionately call this season the easy season. Here's why. It's really easy to get into my bed at night. Oh my gosh. I'm like, oh, yes. Bring me my bed. It's really easy to gain weight. So easy. So easy. Oh, man. Woo. And they want me to change my coffee out for green tea. Take my last little joy away from me. No way. No way. It's really easy to grow new hair on my chin. Especially when you get in the car and you're like, oh, the sunlight hits just the right way. And you're like, dang, did I walk out of here like that? Oh my gosh, if Jared doesn't see that, holy moly. Whew. And okay, Danielle, my hairdresser, she calls them sparkles. It's really easy to earn those little gray sparkles. Oh yeah, get those sparkles going. Oh yeah. Also, it's really easy to get my standing goal on my smartwatch every day because I have to get up 13 times a day to pee. So I'm like, got it again. Oh yeah, baby. I got like the nervous pees before I got up here. I peed 3 times before I got up here because I was like, almost 30 minutes of talking. I better pee. Just make sure. Oh man. I'm definitely not in the season of working on my tan lines anymore. I'm working on my laugh lines, baby. Oh yeah. Let's go. I'm laughing it away. So I'm not one of those gals that obsesses over Proverbs 31 woman, okay? And sometimes when like I see anything about the Proverbs 31 woman, I start to go, oh, I can't handle it. Oh gosh, don't tell me about the Proverbs 31 woman. No one can measure up to this lady. She's not modern. But I do like one part of it, okay? I mean, it's scripture. We all love it. But I do like this part. She says, or whoever wrote it, a woman of strength and dignity that has no fear of old age. And some translations say no fear of the future. I mean, I think we've all gone into that place of like, oh my gosh, what's next? And especially as you get older. But we don't have any fear of the future because we know the story and we know how it ends. In other words, the Proverbs 31 woman knows that nothing is too hard for God. Not one thing, not anything. So Sarah's story reminds us that our age does not dictate our identity or God's plan for us. I feel like in this culture, sometimes people get discredited because they're too young or discredited because they're too old. And I just reject that. I say, no, if God wants to change your season or my season or Sarah's season in a hot minute, no matter what age, he's going to do it. So don't fall under that. Your identity is in the Lord. And he's got a season for you, and he's walking in the season. He's with you in the season. He sees you cry. He sees you laugh. He sees it all. He's with you. So my thing is just remember that nothing's too hard for God. And also, most of all, don't discredit yourself. I think Sarah might have done that a little bit. I might be reading into it a little bit, and I'll say, I'll take that up. But she was like, I'm out. I'm 90. My husband's 100. What do you think? This is crazy. But wait for God to be God in whatever circumstance you're in, because he's always faithful. He's always faithful. I want to be grateful. I want to be grateful for the season I'm in and not hate all the things about it. Truly. And I want to laugh while I'm reminded that nothing's too hard for the Lord. So, here's my challenge. Get out of your house. I'm saying this to myself sometimes. Go laugh. Go do something that will help you laugh. You know what makes you laugh. Join Sarah. And God has it. Whatever it is. You can go out and have some fun and laugh because God has it. And stop hiding in your tent. Get out there because nothing's too hard for him. All right, here's my other personal challenge. Between now and the next Women's Wednesday, I would like for you to take a picture of yourself. Oh, can we get that back, Rudy? Sorry. Oh, what's that? Okay. Oh, can I go back? Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, okay, take a picture of yourself having fun. And if you're not on socials, that's okay. Send it to like one of the women that is part of the women's team here, or tag me if you are on socials. A picture of yourself having fun. Go have some fun. That my little social media right there. Oh, no, not that again. Okay. I went with my sister. Those are my two nieces. And we were just like, we're going to go on every roller coaster. I'm a roller coaster person. I love roller coasters. Lucy is finally at the age where she's like, yeah, I'm tall enough. Let's go. You know, I was like, oh my gosh, my girl, we can go on roller coasters together. We waited for like 17 hours to go on Tron. That's the top one. You can't see it from here, but I'm having fun. My face, like that smile, I swear it touched my ears. And then the bottom one is the rock and roller coaster. Those are my nieces. And we were kind of making fun of my sister. Her son is the same age as my son. And every single picture we took that day, they were like gang symbols. You know, I was like, all right, guys, when the photos come in, let's throw up our gang symbols. You know, like, so we were all kind of doing it, but I was also kind of holding on at the same time. It's like, this is fun. So that's my challenge. Go have some fun. Tag me. Have a good time. Yeah, love you guys. And let's just keep laughing. Work on those laugh lines with me. Okay. All right, Martha's going to come back up. I'm going to leave this here. I'm giving you permission to laugh now. We're going to have some fun. Just saying.